Hey, what's up? I'm Allie and welcome back to your channel. To your channel? This is your channel now. It's all yours. God. Hey, what's up? I'm Allie and welcome back to my channel. If you don't know, I am a self-proclaimed gamer girl. I am also your typical hot streamer over on Twitch. So obviously I feel qualified to do a video on this. Basically what I'm going to be doing is recommending books based on the video games that I enjoy playing. And a lot of these are quite popular games. You've definitely heard of most of them. So I think it will be relatable to pretty much anyone who has played any type of game. I feel like a lot of us kind of intersect with liking books and video games because we are story seekers, and video games very much are a more interactive part of being in the story, and basically you become the main character. So I do think a lot of us readers are gamers, and it's for a reason. Some of these I do have more than like one recommendation for, and I'm just going to quickly kind of explain my thought process and why I picked these things and a little bit more about that. So let's go ahead and get into this. I'm going to start off with some of the cozy games that I play, and are definitely some of the more popular ones. So the first one is Animal Crossing New Horizons. This is the first Animal Crossing game that I have personally played, so whether or not this would fit for other ones, I'm not too sure. But for this, if we're going with like vibes alone, because Animal Crossing, it's cute, you have these talking animal villagers and you just kind of collect things and make things pretty, right? We're all about the vibes. It just is serotonin, straight serotonin all the time. Nothing is like super upsetting. It's just a good time. For this, I am going with Heartstopper, just on like vibes alone. The overall tone is very cozy. This is about two boys falling in love, and it's so absolutely adorable. There is also a really cute dog in this, so there is that. Honestly, that's pretty much the premise of the story. It's about these two boys who become friends and they end up getting crushes on each other, and they're kind of navigating that because they're not too sure how the other one feels, and there's some bullying involved and like things like that, and it's just about them falling in love, and it's so cute. Now, I do have a second, much different vibes than this one, and it is Fox 8. Now, I mostly picked this recommendation because this is from the point of view of a fox, and he is kind of like wondering why humans do the things that they do and the things that they are doing to kind of destroy the fox's environment. And it is a fairly, it's a bit of a sad experience overall, but I think that is much like what my villagers are probably like most of the time. They're just like, what the hell is this bitch doing? Why is she putting this statue in this hedge in this picnic basket together? Like, what is she doing? What is the vision here? So I feel like in that sense, but if you're looking for something a little more serious in that vein, there you go. This one is one of my favorite cozy games, and I don't think enough people talk about it, and that is Cozy Grove. This has a slight melancholy feel to it because you have gone to this kind of deserted island, and your scoutmaster basically thinks you're gonna die there, even though he keeps saying that you won't, but sure, okay, you left me there. And the whole point is to kind of find these ghost bears. And as you unlock more of their memories, you find out how they died and help them move on and accept their deaths. And most of them are incredibly sad, if we're being honest. But at the same time, it's really enjoyable. It's a little silly at times. And it is just, I love gathering the things and like making the little bears happy. And they're just so cute. For this, I'm going with a middle grade, that is Ghost Squad. It just is a kind of cozy read, but with a melancholy feel, because this is about a girl, her family can talk to ghosts, and she gets to hang out with her ghost family, which, ghost things, cute, but there's something happening that is threatening the ghosts of this town, and so her and her friend and a witch kind of have to get together and defeat whatever is happening to keep the ghost from basically disappearing completely. So it's really cute. I love that we get to be friends with the ghost and we get to interact with the ghost, which is much like Cozy Grove, and it is a really cute and really quick-paced read. Baddie grandma trope, it's my favorite, and this has it. Next we have Witchwood. Now this isn't like all the way cozy, I would think, because there are some darker aspects of this game. This is where we are a witch, and we go around and collect things in order to finish off these quests and it is all based around like fairy tales and mythology and whatnot. And it is really, really adorable, but also at the same time quite spooky. And I am obsessed. The artwork is stunning. For this, I do have two picks, and they are both graphic novels. And they both kind of have the same feeling of this game, but are very different. So the first one I have is actually Spectacle, and this is about twin sisters who are kind of in a carnival, and one of them is murdered, and she comes back as a ghost. And so she kind of is telling her sister like all these different things to do in order to figure out like what is happening, who has killed her, and also like figure out all the weird things that were happening around the carnival. This fits in because there are carnival themes within Witchwood, so it felt very much like that. There's also kind of just like this magical element in the artwork, and the coloring is very similar and kind of also has that dark undertone at any given time, and there's a mystery, which is kind of what's happening in Witchwood. Other pick is Norway, and this is based around kind of a fairy tale mythology type thing, based on the Black Bull from Norway, which I believe is a Scottish myth. A while since I've read this one, but it's about this like girl who has to go on a journey. It's with a bull man who is like a giant. So she's not happy about it, but they go along the way. And I remember being so absolutely absorbed in this story when I read it, and I was hoping that they were going to come out with more volumes because I was absolutely obsessed. I feel like I can't talk about cozy games without talking about Stardew Valley. I have not put as many hours into Stardew Valley as most people have. This is like a farming simulator type thing. You can also go and like kill things in mines, and you can romance characters. It's about living your cozy life out in this like small community, and I love it. It's very addicting. Time just flies by when you're playing it, and it's just so cute looking. For this one, I kind of felt the most fitting to this was probably Well Met, because one of my favorite parts of Stardew Valley is romancing characters. It's just, I love that part of it, okay? Well Met also takes place in what feels like a small knit community. There's also, it takes place at a Renaissance fair, and that feels like something that the residents of Stardew Valley would really enjoy because they love having these festivals and fairs and all kinds of different celebrations. So I do think that they would really enjoy this atmosphere as well. There's a woman who ends up kind of getting signed up for the Renaissance fair and becoming an actor in the Renaissance fair. She becomes a barmaid. And there is another character. He is quite bashful and not as outgoing until he gets into like this rogue character in the Renaissance Festival. And the two of them have serious chemistry and kind of banter when they are in character. And it might be starting to leak out into their non-character lives, I guess, in their normal lives, and really just fly through it. It's just adorable. It has that cozy feel to it in that it seems like it's a small community knitted together and friends looking out for friends. So I just really enjoyed it, and I think that it fits the vibes the best in this situation for how I play the game. Then I don't really think that this is a cozy game, but it kind of works here. I've kind of gotten a little more into like the adventure style as we've gone through this category. And the last one is probably the least one of those collectible cozy games. This is definitely just more like the artwork is very visually stunning, and it is a little more adventure-esque, but that is Gris. And this is a story all about grief and the different stages of grief, and you don't really realize that until you're getting more into it and you're unlocking new emotions and whatnot. So it is very much more of kind of an adventure book, and it is our main character, and she's trying to fit into the different places that she is adventuring to and getting through these stages. And it is just an absolute stunning game. Very addicting. You can fly through it. You can kind of do it once and then you can go back and, you know, get whatever you missed. But it is visually stunning and really lovely. For this, I really had a difficult time choosing for this because I don't really read a lot of stories that are specifically around grief, aren't really heavy, and I feel like Gris isn't super heavy. Like, it's very visually pleasing in a way that doesn't make it always feel like so totally like depressing. I'm gonna go with a Bone Witch instead, because this is a story about grief, except for you don't realize it till the end, much kind of like the story seems to feel. So we know at the beginning, our main character is looking back. She's telling a story, and we know someone in her life has died, but we don't know who. And it is kind of like leading up to how we got to this point. He is like this necromancy type witch, which is like unheard of. People are very fearful of these, but they're also incredibly needed in this world. So she ends up going off, being shipped off basically for training, but people just don't treat her the same. She is something to be feared. So she's trying to fit into all these places, but also still trying to work through her own magic and her own life and just do the things in life. And it is a really lovely story. It is a series. It is a trilogy. It's a trilogy. It's a trilogy, and it's really lovely. And then for cozy chaos, I feel like this game, okay, this game is one that it totally depends on your gameplay style, because this could be like the coziest game ever, or it can just be absolute hellfire, just depending on how you play, and that is The Sims. Now, I have been a Sims girl since Sims 1. I have played all the games. Sims 2 is superior. Fight me. I don't care if that's an unpopular opinion. I hated Sims 3. Anyway, I feel like I am personally someone who plays The Sims for the drama of it all. Like, I am not there to create a cozy family and do all that. I mean, I'm mostly there for the design elements. I design families and homes, and then I'll never play them again. Besides that, though, when I play The Sims in actual families, I am there for the absolute chaos of it all. I want, like, the small town drama. I want to know that someone is, like, sleeping with someone else's wife, and, like, this is happening, and so-and-so's pregnant with her 18th baby. That's when so-and-so slept with a Grim Reaper. What? Like, I am there for the drama of it all. Now, unfortunately, there just aren't a lot of books like that, I feel. You know, they're just not as messy. Except for, like, small town mystery thrillers get into the mess of it. And I love them. I love a little small town drama. I am going with All the Missing Girls. Now, this definitely has a much darker feel than Sims does. Sims can be very silly and fun. So this is much more dark in that this is an interesting story because it actually takes place, like, backwards. And that, well, one, we already know that years ago a girl went missing, and then our main character returns to this town and girls start going missing again. So we start at day 15 and work our way back to day 1 of things happening. I love the way that it is told this way. I know that not everyone does. So here we go. Maybe this just whole section right here is unpopular opinions. But I love the drama. I love the unfolding of the small town drama that is unfolding, like finding out like who had relations with who and what was happening where, and getting pulled into all that. Like, give me the gossip. Give it to me. So I really enjoyed this story. It's probably my favorite one of Megan Miranda's. Most of her other books I feel also probably could have fit for this because they all kind of deal with like these personal relationships and whatnot and things just going wrong. So not as messy as The Sims can be, but it's the best I can do right now. This category is a bit more of like the chaos category. So they're not totally cozy. They just have a lot going on. The next one is probably Pokemon Legends Arceus. I'm probably saying that incorrectly. This is the newest Pokemon installment and the only one that I have played personally, and I know not everyone has been enjoying it as much as like your traditional Pokemon games, but I personally like kind of like the open world experience and traveling around and just catching Pokemon, although I wish that they would stop attacking me all the time, and there's also just a lot in the game to know, and it's a little overwhelming at times, but it's fine. It's fine. I think I'm going with The Serpent's Secret. Now, this is basically just vibes alone because I feel like Pokemon are silly at times. I love the different creatures. Some of them become friends. Some of them are scary. And that's a little bit of how The Serpent's Secret is. Now, this is based around like Indian mythology, and we follow a young girl who her parents call her princess all the time. And then she gets sucked into this other world and finds out that she is actually the princess in this world to like these monsters. And she has to go on all these like different quests and whatnot and do things in order to get back to her family and find her family because her parents have disappeared in all of this. So there are creatures within this land. Some of them become our friends and are really adorable, and some of them are kind of creepy monsters. And it's silly at times. There's like fart jokes and stuff, and who doesn't love that? And so it just seems like very fitting. I also tend to think nostalgia with Pokemon since I grew up with the show. And with that comes Percy Jackson, and I always recommend this book to fans of Percy Jackson. It's very similar vibes. So I feel like that kind of wraps up well. I think the last of this particular category and my most recent gaming addiction as the game has only been out for 1 week at this point, and I've already sunk 45 hours into it. That is Lost Ark. This is an MMO, which is not like a game category that I have played in years. Like RuneScape was like the last, and I did play World of Warcraft like over 10 years ago. So that is probably the closest thing that I have comparable to this, but I do have friends that play MMOs who have been really enjoying it as well. Like, we've been loving this, and this is basically like you go into this world, there's a main story, and then after the main story, there's all kinds of other things to do, basically, and you gotta get your skills, and you gotta get all these things, and there's side quests, and basically it feels a little bit like choose your own adventure type thing, and it's just really addicting. There's lots of battles, there's lots of side things happening, it's silly at times. And for this one, I feel like the most fitting would be an adult fantasy of some sort. The Wolf of Oren-Yaro, which is about a queen who banishes her king right before they are crowned, basically, and then he is gone for 5 years. Out of nowhere, he messages her and is like, we should meet up. Like, the country is on the verge of war. I have plans. And she's like, where the fuck have you been for 5 years? Like, what do you mean? Now you want to talk? Okay. So she goes and talks to him, but along the way she gets like sidetracked by all these like side quests, and there's like thieving involved, which is very relatable in between this game, and just all these other like silly things happening. We meet a bunch of different characters, and some of them are trying to kill us, and it's like meeting the boss and things like that. So I feel like it's the most relatable. Most of your MMOs feel very fantasy medieval like, so this kind of feels that way to me, so I am going with that one for this. Lots of like political based things, which I feel like a lot of these MMOs are based around, so kind of like the horror category. Now the books aren't going to be necessarily horror that I recommend for these. Now we have Forewarned. Now this isn't a game that I've put a lot of time into, and actually I'm still way too chicken to even face a mummy. This is a little bit like Phasmophobia, except for you're in pyramids and you are trying to find out what the mummy is in this, and once you find out, then it is released, and you have to figure out like puzzles and stuff in order to get out before it comes and kills you. And it is a multiplayer game, so I play with my friends, which makes it much for fun. However, I am way too chicken to stay inside the pyramid, so I normally let them themselves get locked in there, and then I hang out outside and wait for them to come out. Because I'm a bad team player. But it's a lot of fun. For this one, I had a hard time because I wanted the Egyptian part of this is obviously like the main theme of this. And I really haven't read anything that's like that. I would love to. I just feel like I haven't read anything like that. So I decided instead to think of a book that mixes like a spooky history and kind of brings it into modern times. And for that, I have to go with The Historian. This is a big chunkin' book. I feel like it has those same antique, dusty feels, though, as this, and it is about a secret society that is trying to find Vlad the Impaler because they believe that he is a vampire and he is still alive. So we follow a girl whose father had gotten inducted into the secret society, and he is telling her the story, and as he is telling her the story, he disappears. So then she has to go looking for him and gets involved with the secret society as well, and also vampires and whatnot. But we are traveling all over to these ancient parts of the world in order to try to find clues and figure out where he is. So I feel like the puzzle kind of aspects of this and kind of the closeness of doing it with friends and family and also working together, and then the history part kind of blend those in the most way that I can at this point with what I'm given. And then the best for last. I had to save the best for last. My all-time favorite game, in case you couldn't tell, is Dead by Daylight. Now, whether or not this is actually considered horror, I don't know. I know that it is a horror game, but I don't find it in particular very scary. I find it way more fun. I play with friends, we have a blast, and you can either play as the killer or you can play as the survivor in this game. And of course, the goal of survivors is getting done so you can escape without getting killed by the killer. And the killers is to hook the survivors enough times that they die. So that's a really, really short version of how to play the game, but I have a lot of fun doing it. The first pick is just like a straight horror book. This is a slasher horror, which I feel if you are kind of the killer in this game, you are there for the gore and whatnot and for killing things. Camp Slaughter is probably going to work. I feel like Camp Slaughter gives me very much like Bubba vibes in this, and the thing is with this, you are from the point of view of the survivors, but you're also from the point of view of the killer during this book. So I feel like the actual perspective is very on par with Dead by Daylight. And if you are just looking for a gory slasher, like this is it. And I do believe a sequel is coming out. This is about this group of young adults who go out to stay in this cabin in the woods, but little do they know that there is a cannibal living within the woods there, and he's coming for them. So it was really interesting to see from the killer's point of view, because I haven't really read anything that really has both points of view, so that was really interesting. Now the other one I feel like is just more of the vibes in a way, and that is Warrior of the Wild. This is a YA fantasy where this girl is kind of thrown out of she fails like this test and she gets thrown out of her community and is put kind of in exile, and they give her this task that she has to go kill this god if she wants to come back. And it's a suicide mission. Like, they know that she's not coming back. But she goes out into those woods and she is surviving, and she is preparing to go take on that god monster thing 1v1, which at times, depending on the group of survivors you got playing with you, it feels like you are 1v1 and sometimes. So I feel like the vibes of that, and it's not horror filled, so if you're not big into horror, that one might be better. Although if you're playing Dead by Daylight, I assume you enjoy horror to some aspect. I think I would love to know if you have played any of these games. What would you recommend? Because I would love to do like an updated version of this at some point. And if you've recommended something and if I think it fits the vibe, I would love to know. Oh, I forgot Overwatch. I play Overwatch. I can't think of anything off the top of my head that would fit for Overwatch. That's a lot more pow pow pow, serotonin to the brain immediately because you're happy. Maybe Saga, because like you think you're the good people, but it's about the good and the bad coming together, and they're on the run, and there's all these funky creatures with different powers. So maybe Saga for Overwatch if you're looking for that. Anyway, if you've ever wondered what games that I play, here you go. You can often catch me on stream playing these games or just hanging out and chatting on Twitch. I am live on Twitch 3 times a week, so if you're ever interested, I do have a link to it down below. Hope you have liked this video. Don't forget to subscribe to see future videos from me. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!